The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual hosts and their guests do not necessarily express those of KCNR Radio and its sponsors. All shows are independently owned and broadcast for entertainment purposes only. Readers and listeners are advised that neither KCNR Radio nor its owners and agents shall be held liable for the content of this program.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We don't want to be
Don't label us left or right.
Our American.
Not looking for a war, but we came to fight. Somebody's gotta stand up. Somebody's gotta do what's right. We're rising 'cause we're fed up. Got our house in order and got yours inside.
Good morning, Sovereign Minds. Just saying.
I'm not sure which one's.
Oh boy,
man.
hey, did you got the deaf person over there? Is that what happened?
I guess,
Yeah, it's like
man.
Like they hear,
Whoa, baby,
hear
whoa.
the most obnoxious sound in the world.
I think we just did.
That could have
Thank
been.
you very much.
It could have been.
Wow.
All right, we're back. It's been, I was looking at it this morning. It's almost been a month since we've been on the radio. Pretty close, not quite. I mean, I was like, hey, do I got to go back? I don't want to go back. I'm feeling,
Well, I did, but it's kind of nice to have Sundays once in a while.
Sunday,
and,
a Monday here and there.
Yeah.
It's been pretty.
but then you
pretty
think,
good.
God, look at all the crap that's going on. Nah, got to go back.
Yeah.
There's
Why?
too much stuff going
Because
on.
we're here to save the world. Okay. Well, our little corner of it anyway. So.
Good place to start.
So, my name is Mark Kent, and I'm your host today. Once again, it's Sunday, July 10th, 2022, and I am here in the studio with my sister Linda, who does all the heavy lifting, and in this ball of energy, immovable object, unstoppable force of nature, slayer of snowflakes, and she has heard more BS than a BOS meeting.
And it just keeps on giving. Good morning, everybody.
There you have it. And I don't know where the kid's at.
The kid is on assignment.
He's on assignment. There you go.
Yeah.
And then we have a new trusted producer, soundboard operator, and all-around great guy. But I don't know his name.
It's Liam.
Liam.
Yeah.
We didn't even have time to
You
meet
don't
yet.
know his name?
I don't know his name. Now I do. Liam.
Wow.
I'll just think of Neeson. Yeah. Every time I think of Liam Neeson, I go, "Hey, you got any bananas?"
I used to really like the guy.
Well, I did too, but then we all woke up to the political reality
yeah,
that
and
we're
it's
in.
like, not another one down. Oh, dang it!
Now, we do have some special guests today with us.
We do.
I've known both of them for quite some time, actually. We've got Brenda Haynes. Haynes? I knew. I couldn't remember if it was an N or a Y. I see it all. Both. So it's Haynes.
Yeah.
I've known Brenda for off and on. For what, 20 years?
Off and on? Did he kick you to the curb once in a while and bring you back, or what?
Well, it wasn't like we were, dating or anything, but.
Oh, we've been off and on for 10 years.
Okay, so it's an expression. Shut up. So, I've known Brenda for quite a while. She's a representative for Doug Lamoffa's office. We have not always seen eye to eye. I'll get that out there right up front.
She wears many hats, and we will go over that
there
today.
You have it.
Yeah.
So, but in general, I think Brenda's a great person. And so she's here with us today. And then we also have Ray Eliante, who I do know how to spell his name because I see it all the time. And
More than I'd like.
More than I'd like, actually.
And I've known you for quite a few years, and I never stopped being your friend, so I didn't kick you to the curb.
So it wasn't an on and off thing?
No, it wasn't an on and off thing.
Okay, so we'll have a little pregnant pause here where we just think about what you said.
It wasn't. It was always on. on.
Now, Ray Eliante, I must confess, has been a client of mine for a number of years too, and he's a great friend. And but this isn't all. We're in a whole different. We're in another realm of
We are on
reality
this
on this one. So both Brenda and Ray are members of the
They're
Acid Water Board.
We are on the ACID Water Board.
They are
So in other words,
board members. They are
well, there's
on
a
the
joke.
board.
There's a joke there. You mean you're on the water board? Where's the
Yep.
acid?
Yeah. It's pretty layered. Yeah.
Many things.
I couldn't help it. It was there. I had to take it. It's what I do. We have to be entertaining as well as informative, and sometimes not really entertaining or informative.
Well,
but
you're doing a great job of having us to be relaxed.
there you go.
There you go.
So where should we start? I mean,
Well, I'd like to start off by saying to both of you, Lynn and Mark, thank you for this opportunity.
You bet.
Representing Brenda, myself, and the entire ACID board, we want to thank you for this opportunity to express some of the frustration and anger that people are having, and just to say, as a board, we get it.
Yeah, a little closer.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, it helps.
Yeah.
That helps a lot.
Okay,
And can you clarify what ACID stands for? Just because I don't want them to think it's the acid board. It's
sure. Anderson Cottonwood Irrigation District.
They're very good, and that's about water.
It's about water. It's all about water.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
She just can't help herself, can you?
No.
Yeah.
Hey, we've been all over it this morning. Me,
I've
Ray,
known
and
her
Brenda.
for a number of years too, off and on.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
she's been my sister sometimes, and then other times I've totally denied it.
You know, that works both ways, as we were talking earlier, right, Ray? Yeah. You know.
And so to reel this back in,
Okay. Go ahead, Ray. I'll shut up for a while.
There's a lot of concern, frustration, and anger, and we get it. And what I mean by the board gets it, we just didn't just discover this. In fact, it was over a year and a half ago that as a board, we directed our general manager at the time to start sending out emails and newsletters to people stating that we may have some reduction in water, which ended up being a reduction of 25%. We were allocated 75% last year. And so we instituted that program.
This is going to cause some problems.
Well, this is,
It
yeah,
has.
Yeah, and we were saying, hey, we don't know where this is going. We see a trend here. We were watching the weather, and we all watched it very, very carefully. And so having said that, we put that out there, and our hope was, hey, we hope we get 75% next year, not knowing at all where this thing was heading. Because we're dealing with the state, we're dealing we're dealing with weather, and
both of those are fairly unpredictable, by the way.
Yeah, and one can be trusted better than the other.
Yeah, I think you're right. And and then there's the weather, and then there's them.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So when we found out that our allocation was reduced, it was just a few days before we told the district, the people, the customers, the users, and we never act flippantly. What I really want to say from the bottom of my heart is that the board members are servants. We serve the customers with a servant attitude, and there's nothing we do flippantly. We make every decision. We weigh it heavily, and we know that our decisions are going to affect every user.
Right.
And so it's not like we don't give a darn. We're going to do this. It's measured. It's wrestled with.
You're trying to do what you can and make the decisions for the benefit of the community, all the members, I'm assuming?
Oh, that's right. And we are, by the way, members as well. You have to have skin in the game, and we all irrigate. So when we had this come up, we distributed information as quickly as we could, as accurately as we could with what we knew, and we were dealt this hand.
So the constraints that are being handed down from on high are basically coming out of Newsom's office, I'm assuming.
Well, I'd like to get to that, but before we do, Mark, if you don't mind,
Okay.
I would like to turn the mic over to my colleague, who is Brenda Haynes, and
Okay.
she has 20 years' experience. She has much more knowledge. She can give us a brief overview of the history and why we as a board voted, and then from there we can answer that question.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Yeah. You're on, Brenda.
Well, and it's just kind of, the question is, how did we get here?
Yes.
And when you say ACID, most people think immediately they think pre-1914 water rights, and pre-1914 water rights are have always been thought to be bulletproof, and they are senior rights to the federal government, and they have been basically bulletproof way back when they were created. And we've always considered them to be the strongest water right in California, but a lot of things have happened since 1914. And, in 1992, the Endangered Species Act was adopted, and that changed everything.
Yeah, and I don't think people, I don't mean to interrupt, but people realize that because they still want to go back to the 1914 and say, hey, you got to go by this.
Well, that brings up a question, too. Now, they just had a recent Supreme Court decision that they basically said that they were taking a lot of the power away from and back from the agencies. This is, from a lot of the sources that I listened to, said that this was almost as powerful, if not more powerful, than Roe versus Wade and the gun decision, because they're saying now that the agencies of the federal government and so forth do not have the power to regulate people's rights away. Have you heard that one as well?
I've heard it. There's so much that's happening, and
there's so many moving parts. I think
are.
That's something that you might want to look into, because this could negate. And again, I don't want to divert the conversation as much as I want to throw a bug out there to say you might want to look into that and see what kind of power that the Supreme Court just gave back to the people away from the regulatory agencies.
Yes, that's true. And you look at how many years have we had liberal socialist governors who have appointed to all of our state agencies
since Reagan,
like-minded folks, and they have control. They have the power to change things. You think, well, that's our pre-1914 water right. You can't touch that. Well, yes, they can.
Right.
You've got judges, like you said, judges that back that up, set precedent, and they have been able to change our water right. Back in 1914, we didn't have 40 million people living in California, and we didn't have some of these agencies involved either.
Right, yeah.
The feeling back then, everybody was a farmer back then, and they were pro-ag. They knew where our food came from. They were hardworking people with common sense, conservative values. Nowadays, we don't have that in the majority, and they've been able to put key people in key positions that create things like the state's temperature management plan.
Yeah, we were talking about that before we came on air, like somebody, rolls up their pant leg and says the temperature of the water needs to be this. I mean...
Yeah, they choose a number to the nth degree, and we all have to abide by that.
I'm kind of looking this up as we go, so I'm trying not to be too distracting. But it says, what I got here is the Supreme Court limits EPA authority to set climate standards for power plants. And this is a recent decision. This was on June 30th is when this is. And I just looked this up. I got CM and NBLSD here. But so I wouldn't put a lot of credit. So I just, pulled it up as quickly as I could. But that's something that we might want to look in. And it was a 63 court decision that not the EPA has the power to create a broad system of cap and trade regulations, to limit emissions. But this goes across the board with power plants, with water restrictions, and a lot of this. So this is something that you might want to, dwell into, get some, look at the opinions from the court on it. And from my understanding is that, and I'll just read a little bit through, the U.S. Supreme Court on Thursday limited the Environmental Protection Agency's authority to set standards on climate change and greenhouse gas emissions for existing power plants. In a 6-3 ruling, the court said that only Congress, not the EPA, has the power to create a broad system of cap and trade regulations. Now, this would actually apply to this water restrictions that you're talking as well, because the water restriction is coming from Governor Newsom's office, but it's being implemented by the Bureau of Reclamation. Is that?
Yes, the Bureau of Reclamation is federal, and they actually turn the dial on Shasta Dam how much water to be released. However, State Water Board tells them, and Fish and Game, they all weigh in on this, they tell them how far to turn the dial. So
it's like a dueling agency thing, but the state sounds like it has the overriding power of actually shutting or...
If they have to make a decision, they do. And I think this movement by the court is monumental. However, as Brenda stated, there are so many moving parts, and it has to trickle down pretty far over time for it to have an effect.
Right. And there's 18 agencies that kind of... Is that correct? 18, maybe even more than that, that kind of have the...
I can't keep up with the acronyms. I've started listing them. There's 12 to 25 that I have. And
my God, that's the problem right there.
And they want to put one over all of them now called the Voluntary Agreement Group.
Shouldn't the local water board have the ability to decide policy?
Well, you would think common sense would dictate that, but we're under their auspices.
Are we, though?
Yeah. I mean... Well, no, I don't want to be. I don't want to be.
No, I'm just wondering, is there a remedy or is there a way not to be? I mean, does it take a revolt or a rising up to say that we're not going to do this? Or
I'm ready.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at.
Well,
I'm ready.
And I think one reason I wanted to have this program was for the citizens and maybe the board start working together more than fighting each other, because
Well, that's our hope. That's our goal. That's our plan.
And this whole thing is to get them educated on both sides. I'm not saying that the people aren't educated on the system or anything.
Yeah.
But I don't think people are aware of, like, the 1914 and the Endangered Species Act and what it's done and who's controlling what and who's doing what. So if you could help us out with that, Brenda,
Linda,
that would be
I
great.
I could run with that forever, but I think it's really critical for Brenda to get her point across on why we voted the way we did, which I think
but the people
don't understand.
and
Okay.
their arms up. Yeah.
So, ACID, with our pre-1914 water rights, we're not the only ones with those water rights. There are agencies, about 140 of them we're the farthest north, here in Redding, all the way down the Sacramento River to Sacramento.
God, what a mess.
So with all those agencies, they all have pre-1914 water rights as well. So for someone to step in and say, well, we're the first straw, and we have pre-1914, we get our 100% water allotment, that's not how the world works. We all have to get the same amount, and with the it's a bad, terrible storm. What do you call that? Anyway, the storm that comes together. Everything came together at
Perfect
one
storm.
Perfect storm.
I was just,
the imperfect perfect storm. And so with the drought, we had storms that were approaching California, and they would split, go up the east side and go up the west side. We didn't get water north of the dam.
Right.
We didn't get rain north of the dam or much snow. So we do have a Mother Nature drought on top of, I believe, a government takeover of our water.
Also, a government that has, been mismanaging the water in general at the dams and the places where the storage was set up to alleviate these problems of drought, because California has always been a state of, feast and famine as far as water goes.
Yes, and we all, as water agencies, pay the Bureau to store that water behind the dam for us for the next irrigation season. So for whatever reasons, Mother Nature, bad government, bad decisions, whatever those reasons, a combination of all of them, there was not enough water behind the dam for all of these agencies to get their 100% allotment. So way back, the board was watching this last November, December, January, and we got a little bit of rain, October, November. So we were optimistic that we would get our 75% allotment anyway. Last year we only got 75%. Some of our customers don't realize.
Right.
They did not get 100% ACID as a whole, but because we tightened our belt and really watched what we were doing, worked hard, they did get water to their farm, and most everybody was satisfied.
Then this year.
So then come January, still no rain. February, no rain. So negotiations were ongoing day by day with all of these agencies, and our group is called the Sacramento River Settlement Contractors.
Okay.
And that's the group that has about 140 agencies. And we have good lawyers. We've got the best water law firms in the state of California. With all of us, Glen-Colusa Irrigation District, Tehama-Colusa Canal Authority, ACID, we represent a lot of water and a lot of customers and a lot of good legal backing, legal help. So the negotiations were ongoing, and we kept thinking, okay, 75%, and then 50%, and then it kept getting, as dry conditions continued, we just got less and less and less. So it got down to 18%. That's the amount of water that the Bureau could provide everybody with 18%.
Okay.
Nobody got 90%.
Because that's all there is.
That's all there is. That's all the molecules there are available. So that 18% ACID represents 22,500 acre-feet of water. However, so 22,500
Doesn't sound like very much.
That's only like a couple farms.
Well, we are, our 100% allotment is 125,000. 125,000. We got
18%. Yeah.
18%.
So that's 125,000 per farm per
No.
125,000 acre feet per year.
per year for everybody
Yeah.
in your district.
Yes.
Okay.
So we got that reduced to 22.5. So of that 22.5, our contract that we're bound by, it's a 40-year contract signed in 2005. That contract stipulates so much in April, so much the month of May, so much in June, and the Bureau has always allowed us to take September and October water and reschedule it into April and May. That's just the way it was. I wasn't around back then. That's just the way it is. So now you've got April, we get 8,000 acre feet of water by contract. We get 18% of 8,000. So that's only 1,440.
Wow.
And that's to last all month of April. So we've got a big earthen canal that starts up here at the dam, North Street in Reading. It's an earthen canal. If we dumped all that water in at one time, it's going to go on down, float and soak and float and soak, and it's not going to get past Crown Motors.
Wow. So where's it at now? Is it full? Is it down at the bottom?
We diverted zero.
So it's dry.
Yeah.
Yep, it's totally dry.
Wow.
So the board had three choices. One, do nothing. That's always a choice.
I got to interrupt you, Liam. Freddie the troll.
Yeah.
I want him out of there. Get him out. Bar him. He's just throwing stones. I'm tired of it. Sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. So our one option could have been
Do nothing.
Do nothing. No project. Do nothing. That would have left our water in the Sacramento River. It would have gone down, out underneath the Golden Gate. We would have gotten zero value for that water. So
Wow.
that we didn't spend much time on that option. Option two is we could have taken that water, put it in the canal, let it go to Crown Motors,
And dry it
and
before
die.
it gets there anyway. Nobody gets any benefit, period.
Right.
Again, zero value for our customers. That would not have helped one farm. It would not have recharged one well.
It would absolutely done nothing for
It would have been a
anybody.
waste. The third option was to market that water to somebody who could use it because it's so valuable. We chose to sell that water, and the word sell just sometimes puts people on edge, but it's because they don't understand. Option one and option two were not viable. So we chose option three, and the gross is about $10 million. The net, after you pay all the fees, there's a whole raft of all these costs and fees and stuff that goes into that. So net to ACID is about $7.5 million. ACID has never had money like that. So this is an opportunity to do the long overdue system improvements.
You're okay.
Okay.
So we got either Stephen King in the chat room or we've got Nathan Pinkney. And so I want them out of here. Can you do that, Liam?
I don't know which accounts I'm looking for, but
You're looking for
Freddie.
You're looking for Freddie. And
Freddi.
I don't know about the other one. The only one I've seen is Freddie, but he's just needs to go. Can you block him?
Gotcha.
Thank you.
We were just doing signals because we're coming up on a break in 2 minutes, just so you know.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Brenda.
interrupt, but I'm getting tired of
But
listening to this
I want to
idiot.
go back to the three decisions because I've been out in the community talking with people, and here you go with misinformation or however you want to put that the people said, first of all, we didn't have any input on that decision that the board made. And then, after we got to talking a bit, okay, and then they go, well, they did sell it, but they didn't sell it for enough money. We wanted it, now it's worth X amount of dollars, and like what we were talking earlier, you could do that all day long. You could sell it now for $1 million or whatever the number is, and a week from now I can say, well, you know what, Brenda, I think we could have got $2 million, so, you didn't do your job. Can you kind of say something to that? Because that's some of the feedback I'm getting in the water, with the water.
That is typical Monday morning quarterbacking. And I've been attending ACID meetings for about a year before I ran for the board, so 21 years. And there's usually one or two people who show up. Sometimes they both stay awake for the entire meeting, sometimes not.
I don't need to laugh. Sorry.
But that I always took that people thought we were doing a good job, so they didn't come. That's why they elect 5 of us to represent them. And it's not a group gang vote. It's the business is conducted by the 5 representatives who are legally, lawfully voted on the ballots every 4. They're 4-year terms, so 3 1 year and 2 years later. So we did have this. Our agendas are posted in all the right places every time. On the doors, on the website, all the information was out there. In addition to our regular monthly meetings, I think we've had 4 special board meetings where we had 160 people at one meeting, and we sat there for I don't know how many hours answering questions, listening, taking input. And Ray, you want to talk about the one where you actually asked for a show of hands?
Sure. So, and getting back to the dollar amount prior, I'll say that. We have contracts with local water agencies. And so knowing that we have a market for the water, we have contractual amounts, and we actually sold the water for a great deal more than the amount that we have contracts for. At the same time, the water that we sold didn't go to agriculture. It didn't fill anybody's goldfish pond. What it went to was human use only. For showering, drinking water, it went to Bella Vista.
Wow, we're a long way. We've come a long way, baby.
Yeah. It went to Bella Vista. It went to Bella Vista. It went to Redding, which went to Clear Creek, which went to Happy Valley, who's thirsty for water.
Right.
Okay, so it was humanitarian, and we actually went. We talked to our council. We talked to other water agencies. We said, what is a fair dollar amount? How much can you possibly get when it comes to humanity and your neighbor? What do you want to do? You want to just get them by the throat when they're in need of water? We got more than 3-4 times the amount of a going rate. And they wanted more from that, but now they're mad that we sold it. But getting back to one of our first meetings, I had asked for a straw poll vote, which many of them said, we're not voting, we're not giving you authority. But I had to tell them what a straw poll vote was at the time, just to make it clear that this is not binding. The poll was merely to say,
you're just trying to survey the audience.
So how we can best serve them, right? So we have this much money. How would you like to see it used? I gave them a scenario of how we could break it down per acre as a refund to them, or we could make improvements. The number of hands was by far what appeared to be 80% or more we want to put into improvements. And what kind of improvements would you like? Line the ditch. So if we line the ditch, it would be a very clean, pretty ditch. But those ditches they wanted lined would affect their wells. They wouldn't receive any well water because the seepage wouldn't be there. And then you could have a nice clean ditch and you have no water. So all your money went to line a ditch with no water. So I understood that they did not understand the question and have enough time to think about it. I always believe that the best thing for us to do is credit them, give them money back. This is district money for the customers, and that's the way it should be handled. And so that decision has not yet been rendered. It's still, the money's still there. We're still going through decisions and tough choices.
How do we know that there is no water? I mean, just go look at the dam. I mean, how do we know that we're down to this, and this is an actual percentage and not a government-created mandate of some sort?
Well, I think it's a highly debated issue, Mark, and the reason for that is you could look at the dam; it's extremely low.
Right.
But talking to the
we've seen it low before.
Yeah, and talking to the old timers, they used to ride their horses across Sacramento River, and the fish came back. I moved here 22 years ago, and in the fall you could walk across Cottonwood Creek on the back of the salmon. There are no fish to speak of anymore. So really, if it was about the fish and the water temperature protecting the fish, we'd have reservoirs of Cottonwood Creek, which we don't. Which we don't have. So to answer your question is, we do have a water issue. We do have a drought issue. It's significant, and we have extreme state and fisheries intervention that's controlling things.
I guess
we're going to go to a break, and then we'll pick it up on the other side. There's so much to cover with this, and so this is very important to get out to the people. So if you want to call in, the number is 530-605-4567. This is KCNR, 1460 AM and 96.5 FM.
Owens is a proud sponsor of Reading Colt 45's baseball. Owens provides top-quality respiratory products and services throughout the North State and Northern Nevada. Products include oxygen therapy featuring the small and portable oxygen concentrators, CPAP machines, and a team focused specifically on providing ongoing CPAP supplies to help you get the best sleep possible. Owens has been in business since 1979 and has been Joint Commission accredited since 2003, allowing them to care for patients in our community when they need them the most. Contact Owens at 1-800-MY-OWENS. That's 1-800-696-9367.
Founded in 1995, GI Pathology is the only physician-owned laboratory in the United States dedicated solely to the practice of gastrointestinal and liver pathology. The company provides the highest quality GI pathology diagnosis made exclusively by one of our fellowship-trained gastrointestinal and liver pathologists. GI Pathology delivers results to its Northern California client base within an industry-leading 24 hours. Call 888-2GI-PATH or go to www.gipath.com for more information.
Hi friends, RC here with Tobacco and Brew. This month's cigar of the humidor is La Única Dominican Primeros, premium shade-grown Connecticut wrappers, combined with a long filler blend of aged Cuban seed Dominican tobaccos, providing a smooth, mellow to medium-bodied experience. It's a rich and balanced selection with subtle hints of nuts, cream, and fruit. La Única Dominican Primeros, Tobacco and Brew, Redding, California.
What is happening in the state of Jefferson? To find out, listen to the Jefferson State of Mind program Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. on KCNR with your hosts Wayne Carpenter and Terry Raposa. To catch up on past broadcasts or to listen anytime, go to KCNR1460.com and click on the archives link.
ACA, come out and play. Have you seen the bill we all have to pay? The time has come for 51 in a Jefferson State of Mind.
Tonight I'm gonna pick myself a fight. In some deserving dirtbag, a black eye. And if he swings at me, then I'll bust that sucker's lead. 'Cause tonight I'm feeling mean, I'm feeling mean. I'm feeling mean. I'm feeling mean. The meanest come from me that anyone's ever seen. Lean out of the way of the hurricane. There's a heavy price to pay. Tonight I'm feeling mean. I'm feeling mean.
Yeah, we're back. Sovereign Minds, home of the Free Fire Media, community radio for the North State. That was a new song. I think it was kind of appropriate considering the chat room. And
our guest started dancing, which is a good thing.
Well, we had to tell Ray to get off the table.
I know.
My family's going to believe you.
That was Ben Bostic feeling mean. So.
But you know, what happens in the studio stays in the studio, right? Yeah. Before we went to break, we were talking about the sell of the water, and I think we kind of wanted to go over the breakdown of that sell so people understand exactly what you guys did, right?
Yeah. We have long-term water transfers that have been in place for years and years. We have two pots of water. One is the project water. There's 4,000 acre-feet of that, and the other is our pre-1914 water right, the 121,000 acre-feet. That 4,000 acre-feet, we have been transferring, like I said, all these years to Bella Vista, City of Shasta Lake, Shasta Community Services.
For money.
Yes, we've been selling.
Right.
So transfer is another word for sell, so we did sell.
We're on the same page. I'm just clarifying it.
And the City of Reading. So those four entities have been paying, they've been buying water from ACID for years and years. So when this emergency came about, these agencies came to us and said they did not have enough water for their health and human services needs. That's people, drinking water, baby formula, whatever. They needed this water. Mm-hmm. The Bureau has to approve all transfers, all sales.
The Bureau of Reclamation?
Bureau of Reclamation, yes. So ACID can't just decide we're going to sell to Mark Kent, blah, blah, blah. We have to get it approved, and it's their contracts in writing, public review.
Are there any emergency clauses in there that you're aware of that would say, hey, we need to reduce it or anything like that?
Well, there's language in the contract so that these entities don't have to take the water certain times.
But they need the water.
But in this situation, in this year, they needed it and wanted more. So we did go back. These folks are paying, depending on when they originated their contract, someplace in the neighborhood of $90 to $100 an acre foot, because some of the contracts started out at $90 an acre foot with 3% increase over the years. Every year they got a little bump. So, but it's around $100 an acre foot. So this extra Health and Human Services needs, we sold for $300 an acre foot. So these are to our neighbors. Yes, it's a premium price. That helps our customers, but it didn't financially rape those agencies either.
So that helps your customers by lowering the cost that they're getting their water for, or does it put money in the coffers to purchase more?
They wouldn't be getting any water. They're not getting any water.
It didn't lower their price. It raised their price for the emergency need. We went from 90 to 100.
No, but I'm saying the people that you're serving in Cottonwood, that you sold the water from to. In other words, you sold the water to these other districts, and for $300. And how does that help your guys in Cottonwood? Is the question.
That just helped our general revenue.
So you have money instead of water.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So then they got first dibs at how much water they needed to satisfy their health and human needs, not like Bella Vista. It was not to give their fields any water. It was only for human consumption. So when those needs were met of those 4 agencies we already had ongoing contracts with, then we went outside the basin, which is a line of demarcation. The Bureau, you're allowed to do so much within the basin first, and then whatever was left over. We had 13,434 acre feet left. That all went to Tehama-Colusa Canal Authority. They are outside our basin, and so we were allowed to charge more. They have paid $375 an acre foot. So that's how we got a total of $7.5 million.
So to answer your question, see, the district, if I got this right, the district wouldn't have got any water or anything. The farmers in Cottonwood and Anderson wouldn't have got any of this water, any benefit.
No matter what.
No matter what. So the district, the board decided to sell it to Happy Valley and Bella Vista.
At least make a profit on it more so.
To help out the neighbors for human consumption. It couldn't go into the fields or anything.
So are there any answers for Cottonwood's water to get some?
Had the flow been available even at 18%, had the canals not sucked it up, the amount of water for irrigation we would have had would have been 2 cycles. So in a 6-month cycle of irrigating, we irrigate every 2 weeks.
So what you're saying to me is that this is catastrophic, is what I'm hearing.
Oh, it's absolutely catastrophic.
Yeah, you can't put a Band-Aid on this. This is a super bad problem.
It's a super bad problem, and it's been in the years of making by bad government management, and we've inherited this, and now we've lined the coffers of ACID's bank account to a significant number, or it could have been nothing.
So do you think that the problem, and I've always believed, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the problem stems from the Bureau of Reclamation releasing too much water in the first place? I mean, these dams are set up to store water and they're supposed to, my understanding was, last for 7 years. You know, if you had a full Shasta Lake, it would last for 7 years with that amount of water. Now we're lucky if it lasts for a year or 2.
That's because you don't care about the temperature of the fish.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't care before. I don't care now.
Yeah. I think it's a combination too. It's how much they're releasing to go other places, and then of course the rainfall and snowpack and and all of that that goes.
But knowing that's coming, how much are you releasing and saying forget the fish? We got to take care of people.
Yes.
And that's where our argument is.
Well, a Delta smelt was not a native fish to begin with, so it's complete. This is a manufactured crisis that's been further exacerbated by weather conditions and
Right.
so forth.
You read my notes.
Yes, exactly.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Remember how the spotted owl was used to hurt our timber industry?
Right.
Well, now it's the fish
You know
to
they
hurt
taste
our
like
egg.
they taste like chicken, don't you?
So then one of my questions would be from the other side is,
Only
okay,
with fried
you
seal
sold
oil.
that water and you have that money. Can you use that money to buy water from any other place to get to the farmers?
Well, that was actually explored. Was never the board's idea necessarily, but the manager did explore that just to have the information out, do his due diligence. And if we could have purchased from somebody, it would have been over $12 million just to get the basic amount to get to our folks. $12 million
What
at
is
ACID.
what's the usual cost?
The $121,000 is there's no cost. That's our water.
That's it. So that's just your entitlements with no cost. That's
Right.
going straight to the customers, and they're just paying basically for the upkeep of the system.
Well, there are bureau fees attached to that because we do pay the bureau to store that water, to hold the water for us in the
So there
winter.
are some costs. It's like you're
There are
renting
some.
it.
So it's not
Yeah.
free water,
Right.
but that is our water right, the 121.
But that $12 million isn't that easy to write a check and get that water. There's a mountain of red tape you have to go through, and it wouldn't have been accomplished in 1 year had we had the $12 million.
Wow, what a conundrum! This is
What a
an
big
absolute,
mess.
Absolute mess, and this is what happens when you have too many layers of government.
That's right.
Running everything.
So
So
now
Go
at this point you have the money and you're asking for input from the people in the asset district what to do with the money or
No,
what?
actually, we're just functioning like an active board. And Brenda, I didn't mean to walk on you.
No,
We're going to
it's
say
okay.
something. We're functioning moving forward. I think we're spending a lot of time really ducking the darts and the arrows and the slander that we're getting and trying to get the record straight and to continue to do our job. The money is in the bank. We have a huge infrastructure to deal with. We have employees that are still making improvements and corrections. We understand that a good part of the group wants us to get rid of them. We're currently negotiating with the union for upcoming years. And then on one hand, the union says, do this. And then on the other hand, the customers are saying, get rid of all of them. And we're trying to function as a board.
So are there any solutions to this problem?
Rain.
Rain is, well, God, there's God. But God might be mad at us right now. I don't know.
I'm hoping that getting this exposure, and we thank you guys for helping get this message out.
Sure. Well, this is all my sister. We'll give her all the credit.
Well, thanks, Linda.
No problem. I mean, I live down in the district, and I see the problems
she
going
lives
on.
there, yeah.
And water, if we don't have water, I mean, there's so much going on. But water, if we don't have water, we don't eat. I mean, it's becoming a serious problem. Wells are starting to go dry in Bella Vista. They're going dry in the Cottonwood area. I mean, this is... So
what are we going to be doing? Getting our water from Kmart? I'm sorry, they're out of business. We have to go to Walmart.
Yeah, Brisbane's point is
at least
valid.
in Northern California, there.
We need rain. We need snowfall, and you know what? This is going to shock a lot of people right now. This is a reality that I've been facing for 2 years. And in fact, one of my neighbors 5 years ago said, "Hey Ray, I think we're going to have water wars." And back then, before I realized any of this was coming, I said, "No, I don't think we're going to have water wars. I think we're going to be dealing with water shortage." That was 5 years ago.
Right.
Okay, that was well before I had any inkling of being coerced into this board position.
Well, not to interrupt you, but talking about the perfect storm, it's not just water.
I was going there.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah. So the bigger picture is, we need the water, but the reality is the level of the lake now and the amount of precipitation we're getting, folks, we may be looking at the scenario next year again, or for 3 years. Do you know how much water we have to make up for the water we didn't get this year? Twice. I know it can happen, and I don't limit God's ability, but we need twice the amount of rainfall.
Is this going to have an effect on Southern California?
Well, okay. So you talk about shortages. Let me just say this: in the last few months, we have seen over 100 U.S. food processing centers either burn or blow up.
Right.
This morning alone, I think it was Oklahoma. We had a natural gas refinery.
That happens all the time.
It happens all the time, and that's my point. How come we're seeing so many refineries blow up? Okay, so we're looking at a systematic removal of our water source, our food source, and this is where we could fight this fight, we can go after each other, but it's much bigger than all of this.
Yeah, I think we're kind of at war. We could talk about the Georgia Guidestones too, but
yeah, that's right.
We've got a caller on the line. We've got Craig. Good morning, Craig.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, you got a question or comment for our guest?
I think it's a perfect timing because I don't want to get into a lot of conspiracy theories, but this show is basically about how the Acid Board reacted to the water shortage crisis from Shasta Lake. And it seems to be that a number of people I've talked to, it's common knowledge, people have eyewitnessed water being released last fall in the dead of night from midnight to 5, deliberately lowering the lake. And I haven't been able to verify this or substantiate it with water records releases through Keswick or through Shasta Dam, but I wouldn't put it past Newsom and whatnot. And also, a side note real quick, I find it interesting that Lake Folsom is currently at 95%, right there in Sacramento's backyard, yet we're at these record lows. But my questions are, has the Acid Board looked into this significant portion of this may, in fact, be manufactured and not just drought? A manufactured crisis, and what can we do, some type of watchdog group or something, to monitor that the water is not being mismanaged to deliberately create the crisis we're in?
Well, we see it as mismanagement. They see it as absolute management. It's just an interpretation of what your worldview is and who you want to feed, the suckerfish or the people.
I think a solution is kind of like what we're dealing with on the federal level with this president, if you want to call him that. I don't believe he was elected properly and so forth. But his thing right now is that we got to get all of our shut down all of our oil refining capacity and all of our oil exploration and so forth. And is he doing it on purpose? I think he is doing it on purpose, yes. And I think that Newsom is cut exactly from the same ilk. So the problem is we have leaders that either through hook or crook have decided to implement policies that are not for the best interest of the American people or the people in California. And I think that how far does it go? I don't know, but I think the next stage of this thing could probably get violent, and I'm not a violent person. What I'm saying is you cut off the food, you cut off the water, you don't have a fair voting system anymore, and all of these things combined, that's a recipe for a real problem. I don't know what that means, but it's your point's well taken. I think the answer is to take over control locally, state, and then federal. And in California, even more so. I think that the state of Jefferson is a very viable solution at some point.
I was just going to say, I think the biggest solution or the biggest point here is it's time for everybody to stand together as Americans and fight the machine instead of fighting one another and looking out for one another.
Well, and fight the people who don't want to be Americans. I mean, they're the enemy.
Exactly. The machine, whatever that machine shall be, that it's coming to, that we have to start standing together because we're all going to go down. If nobody has water, it's not just going to be Cottonwood or Anderson. Pretty soon it's going to be the whole area.
It is the whole area.
It is. It's going to be the farmers in the valley. It's going to be a lot of people that are getting affected.
The drought we're seeing is from the west coast to the western side of Colorado. December 30th last year, they lost 500 homes in one night due to fire in western Colorado.
Well, with that said, I want to talk a little bit more about the elections after the top of the hour. Have you got anything else for us, Craig, before we let you go?
My last question would be, what would be the consequences if the people here, we are first in line, the diversion dam is in place, what would happen if acid opened its gates and started filling the canals? I mean, we might be on CNN, we might get national attention, we started getting our water that we have 1914 water rights to, we're number one in line here. What would be the consequences? Why can't acid just say, look, this is our right, sue us later?
But before Brenda answers that question, I'd like to state your comment about Folsom Lake. They were lower than we were a year ago, and because the rain came to them and the snow went to the south side and not us, that's why they're full. But Brenda?
Well, I was going to say that, too, because you can't compare the Sacramento River situation with the Feather River, the American River, Oroville. Those folks got a different storm track than we did. So you can't compare those two water sources. They have nothing in common.
As far as turning the switch and filling the canal?
Yeah, we have 2 points of diversion. 2 places where we can take water. One is the dam that ACID actually installs board by board across the river. And the other one is the Churn Creek pumps. Well, the Churn Creek pumps have to have a much higher water level than is coming down the Sacramento River right now, or they just cavitate. So that leaves us with the dam. Right now there's 4,500 CFS, cubic feet per second, coming out of the bottom of Keswick. That's not enough water. We dam it up. That's not enough water to get up and over and get any water down the canal, even if we did decide we were going to violate our contract.
So what you're saying is physically you let the water out there and the boards go across. It's not enough to bring it up to get it to the different areas in the canal.
Normally this time of year we would be getting 8, 9, 10,000 CFS, and we're getting 4,500. Not we, that's how much the folks are letting out of Keswick. So there's not enough volume in the river to extract it. We cannot take it physically, cannot come out of the river.
Wow. Well, we got about 4 minutes, and I guess you guys are gone after the top of the hour.
And I apologize if we'd have to do this again if needed, but
I think we're going to have you back and go over some more of this. I think it was great for the people to hear some of the stuff that's going on, or the misinformation or disinformation that's going on out there, Brenda.
So that's why I appreciate you guys giving us a voice here, because we talk on the phone, we talk in board meetings, we're out in the community. This is a much larger voice, and we appreciate that. There are folks who still don't understand. One day last week, someone called the ACID office and wanted to pay for their water. I mean, what water? Where have you been for the last 4 months? Under a rock somewhere? I don't mean to be disrespectful, but my gosh.
I've been saying for quite a while, store food, store water, store a lot of
things. This is a much larger picture than, this is huge to the North State. This is a microcosm of what's happening.
There's a perfect storm happening here, economically as well as resources. You know, whether it's food, water, or the fact that they're printing more money than God worldwide has, and devaluing our currency. This is a concerted worldwide problem. I think it's the Great Reset that Klaus Schwab and Dr. Evil have been talking about, and I think we got 2 minutes left.
I'd like to give a closing statement, and I'll shut up. It's just that, folks, people, we work for you. We're your servants. We want to do what's right, and we've worked really hard to do that. So we need to unite and not fight. We need to say no to this government. We need to say no to mass mandates. We need to say no to leave our guns alone. If you own a business, then your business is also essential. In closing, I just want to say something from Ephesians 6:12. And that is, our struggle is not against flesh and blood or against rulers, against authorities, against powers of this darkness, against spiritual forces. I did this all wrong. I'm going to do it again. Here we go. For the struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against authorities, against powers of this dark world, and against forces of evil in heavenly realms.
High places is what I heard.
Well, it depends on your translation.
Before we let you go, if people want to get a hold of you or have questions about what's going on, what do you got?
They can call the office, ACID office, 365-7329. And please don't harass the folks that answer the phone. Just simply, if they've got an easy question.
The problems,
Yes, and if they have a complicated question, put it in writing and send it in on the website, and we will answer them. We are totally 100% transparent. Everything is on the website in our board packets. You can see every check and the number and who it went to and what it was for. We are totally transparent. There is no behind-the-curtain deals being made. Here's information.
Here's what I think the solution is everybody needs to get involved across the board. You know, we have not been involved in our government for a long time, and we're starting to, because evidently when it gets real ugly, you start getting involved. So getting involved at the local, state, and federal level, because all it takes for evil to prosper is good men do nothing.
That's right.
Everybody stand together, and I'm sorry they're going to cut us off.
That's right. If them doing something is suing us, is the wrong thing.
Right. With that, we're going to go to the top of the hour. Thanks for coming in. You're listening to KCNR 1460 AM and 96.5 FM.